Something I've been asking for now since I first saw them release one for retail a couple of years back is a timeline for Classic WoW, and Blizzard have just delivered it. Holly Longsdale has just released a post highlighting the future of both WoW retail and Classic going into 2024, and we can take away some quite spicy info assuming this timeline's correct. Starting with Ruby Sanctum, we already know after only 3 days of it being on the PTR, it got a release date of January the 11th. I haven't really seen much excitement around Ruby Sanctum, which is a shame, but also to be expected. I think everyone agrees that the last boss of Wrath of the Lich King should have always been the Lich King himself, and just having this raid tacked on at the end has never really sat well with anyone. Now, where this roadmap gets interesting is we know two things. Firstly, we know Ruby Sanctum release date, which we've just discussed as being the 11th of January, and we also know that solo self-found for hardcore is coming in February, as Holly said in this post. Two things sit between these dates. That's the next phase for Season of Discovery and the Cataclysm beta starting, so it's fairly safe to assume that January looks incredibly likely for both of these things to come. I'd assume later in January rather than early, because I doubt they're going to want Ruby Sanctum launching in the same week as either of these. But if I was to hazard a guess, I'd say the third week of January for Phase 2 Season of Discovery, and then probably the first week of February when the Cataclysm beta kicks off. A couple of weeks after that would be solo self-found for hardcore. Now again, if we try and get a grasp on some of the more obvious dates, it lets us fill in the blanks. So going forward to Cataclysm's pre-patch, I'd assume that this will be around April time. That'd be 5 months of ICC, which probably will be about right. Even if we say May as an absolute latest, that means prior to that, we will be in the level 50 phase for Season of Discovery, which would launch somewhere between February and May. So it looks like each phase of Season of Discovery up until we reach level 60 is going to be 2 to 3 months absolute maximum, which also sounds about right. Cataclysm only has 2 heroic dungeons apparently. That's interesting. Or probably a typo, which obviously a typo. Now they said we'd go through Cataclysm fast, but it looks like it's going to be incredibly fast. Almost all of the content is going to be released to 2024. That's absolutely ludicrous, and I don't mean that in a good way. The first phase of Cataclysm is literally the best that we're going to get for the entire expansion. Rushing through that first phase is criminal. It's fine to bring out Rise of the Zandalari pretty quick because it only adds 2 heroic dungeons, but we need a decent amount of time between launch and Firelands. That is without a doubt. The first phase for me should last about the same amount of time as Ulduar lasted during Wrath. It's got 3 really unique raids and the difficulty should be pretty high for most guilds, so taking our time in that first phase is critical, and it will be the most memorable phase of Cataclysm, so they should absolutely maybe just slow it down a little bit. The final part of the timeline is interesting as well, being the end game content updates for Season of Discovery. We know looking at this we're going to be level 60 and doing Molten Core shortly after Cataclysm releases, but then if the next phase is just going to be Blackwing Lair and they follow the same path that we're used to, it's not actually a great deal of time between level 60 releasing and Blackwing Lair launching. The cadence of everything next year is going to be epic. And to be honest, for those of us that play both Season of Discovery and Classic, it's going to be a lot to do, and it looks like it's going to be an all-round pretty epic year. Now, if I don't speak to you again this side of Christmas, Merry Christmas to you all. Thank you so much for watching the channel throughout the year, liking, subscribing. I mean, if you're not subscribed, say Merry Christmas by hitting that subscribe button. I'll be covering news posts and stuff like that over Christmas, but I'm not really going to be forcing much content out because it's Christmas. I want to just sit, drink, eat, and have fun. And I hope you all do exactly the same thing. So again, Merry Christmas, and I'll see you on the next one.